So the unleavened bread is like the threshold of the old and breaking through to the new. It's symbolic of leaving a dark room and going through the threshold to a new, bright room. So the house of Aries is the doorway of the house. The doorway that seals the death of the old and gives birth to the new dimension, or the doorway into a new year. So it's just 101 basic knowledge. The LOL, the L even, the twin pillars of the port of El, the portal. So during the Passover, they slaughter the lamb and paint its red blood upon the doorposts, or the pillars of the doorway. So you can clearly see that the Hebrew word for lamb, the ayil, one of its meanings is the pillar, the doorpost of the doorway. And another meaning of the Hebrew ram, ayil, is that of a tree, or the T, the Tav, which in Paleo-Hebrew represents the cross symbol. And today in modern Hebrew, you can clearly see the Hebrew Passover doorway of the Tav, which is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. When the Bible speaks of the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, that is actually Greek. In Hebrew, it's the Aleph and the Tav, the A and the B, the first and the last. The Tav is the symbol of the cross. Now you can see the symbolism of the Passover doorway, or the gateway, in the symbol for a circle, the symbol for pi. Thus the doorway to the house, which is Aries, is the Ouroboros. It is the beginning and the end. It is the symbol of the ratio of pi. And this is why the symbol of pi is related to the Stonehenge, the sacred circle of stones. Thus the symbol of pi, the great circle of life and the seasons of the sun and the moon. So now you know why the Bible states that Abraham will have descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. So now you'll understand the pi ratio of the diameter of a circle and the sacred wheel that turns and spins throughout the year, which is exactly why Ayil is also known to mean curved or twisted, rolling. The rolling wheel that ends and begins with the house or the doorway of Aries. And that's exactly why Aries is known as an old ram, or a young new lamb. So of course the Ayil, or the ram, is known as a chief or a strong leader. A ram is number one, the Ayil, the leader of the flock, exactly like Abraham, who is the ram leader of his flock, the first seed, who is the Most High, and the high ram is the leader who is found in the high mountains, standing tall as a pillar or a post. So the ram in Hebrew, the Ayil, is also known as a red lamb's skin that is used for the sacred tabernacle, the sacred tent of God's home. Thus the Ayil, the red lambskin that represents the red bloody house of March or Mars. And of course the tabernacle represents the 12 tribes of Israel. It represents the 12 houses of the Zodiac, which is why if you look at the 12 tribes of Israel, look at their symbols, you'll notice it's the same symbolism of that of the animal houses of the Zodiac wheel. You'll even notice the deer or the horned one, the lion, the sun, and you'll notice Dan. Notice the balance scales. The balance scales that come from the house of the Zodiac. And we can see the post or the pillar of Aiel, the ram, in Abraham's temple where he was born, the twin pillars. So the doorway is occult symbolism for the pathway or the portal into a new dimension. And you'll find this occultic theology of the doorway portal of leaving the old and entering the new dimension or the new year, the new world, in many Hollywood films. So this is why in our fake reality of our world, we have the film about the red and the blue that takes you through the doorway of the Matrix. And again, we see this same symbolism with Katy Perry's video, or as she puts it, the hidden symbolism that is embedded with the subliminal messages. Which is why we find her standing before the gateway or the threshold, the portal from the old into the new. So everyone has seen The Wizard of Oz, but almost no one really truly understands the very essence of its meaning. Dorothy, who lives on a farm with animals, thus the zoo or the Zodiac, goes on a journey. The sacred journey of the golden spiraling road. The golden sun as it goes through the houses of the Zodiac. You see, Dorothy is the character of the doorway. She is the one who is going through the journey or the portal. Which is why she goes through a tornado. The hole, which is known as the rabbit hole, like in Alice in Wonderland. So take notice to the flowers, the colors of springtime, which is why they're heading to the green land, the land of Oz. They come to the green door with the man who is dressed in green. Notice it says Bel, Baal, the storm god or the sun god of the season. Thus, Dorothy must pass through the green door and meet the green man. So Dorothy follows the golden path of the sun until she makes a full cycle or a recycle and ends up right where she started, back home. So now Disney has come out with Oz, the Great and Powerful. So take notice how the film takes you from the old black and white of the old into the portal or the tornado doorway that leads you into a new beginning, a new world, thus the new light of the new year of springtime. And you see, this is exactly why they show you that it comes out in spring. The month of March, the land of Oz, the land of Zion. So you'll notice the harvest corn, thus the season, thus Abraham. They're showing you the symbolism of Abraham. Because they want you to remember Abraham. You see, Abraham, is the springtime, when the sun is reborn again and comes to life from the old to the new. So that's why Aries is a ram and a lamb. The old father ram and the new son lamb. So you see, this is why Aries is known as both a ram, the old father ram, and the new son lamb. A ram and a lamb. No other house on the Zodiac can say the same. You don't hear about the house of Taurus is a bull or a calf. No. You don't hear that the goat also is known as the house of the kid. No. Thus, the lion house of the sun in August is not known as a cub and a lion. No, just as the lion. But Aries is known both as the house of the ram or the lamb. So the spring equinox symbolizes the very moment that life changes or morphs into the new year, thus the old from the new. So it's like a doorway, it's like a gateway that takes you from the old to the new, like the gate to hell or the gate to heaven. So the vernal spring equinox is a post or a pillar. It's a doorway between the two realms or the two worlds of the two dimensions, the old and the new. So that's why we have the old father ram who has a child or an offspring in springtime, the young Isaac. And thus he's going to make a son sacrifice to the sun in the house of Aries, which is why he sacrifices the ram. So the altar is a post or a pillar. It marks the point of transmutation, transformation. Altar means to change, to transform. It's like a metamorphosis, going into a new realm or a new dimension. Thus, the bipolars or the parallel worlds of the Bible. And we see this transformation or the altering of the names of characters in the Bible. So this is why they talk about split personalities or a bipolar disease of the opposite characters. Thus, the two-faced liar. Thus, the morphing, like the shape-shifting. You see, so they use this natural, bi-seasonal, parallel world we live in, and they use the ignorance of the people against themselves, and thus use this theology for characters in the story of the Bible. And actually, in all stories and books and plays that are told around the world, including films and movies. So this is why every story you know of has the opponents, the competitors, the enemies, the rivals, the good versus the bad, the protagonist versus the antagonist. And this is why the two-faced liars or the actors have the symbol of the two faces of evil and goodness, sad and happiness, the two bipolar opposites. Jachin and Boaz. You see, this is why the character or the Jacob is the trickster, the two-faced liar. Thus the character of the jester, the Jack, the Joker, the Jacob. Thus the character of the green man who represents the fertility of the year. This is why Abraham is the first seed. He is the character of the annual year who gives a rebirth and recycles and regenerates the earth. So you see, this is why they want you to remember that he is the first, the most high, the beginning. So it's the memory of Abraham, the Ram, which is why in computers we have what's called RAM, the memory. And so now you'll know exactly why the RAM, or the memory, is the color of spring green.